Hi, it's Holly and I'm here with my March wrap up. I read 12 books. Today is the 28th. I will probably finish the book I'm currently reading, which I will mention. I'm not sure if I'll finish anything else. So the first book I read was The Darkest Craving by Gina Showalter, which is a Lords of the Underworld book. It's the last one I've read, so I won't be mentioning these again, but I do plan on doing a series review next month. I gave it 4 stars. This is Cain's story, and he's the keeper of disaster. And then his love interest's name is Josephine, I think. I was really interested in Cain throughout the whole series, so I did enjoy this, but I was like a little let down. Like, I thought some of the story points were a little weak and stuff, but overall I enjoyed it. I bought Dublin Spring by Lisa Kleypas. I bought this as like a pick-me-up book when we had to put my dog down. So I picked this up at Walmart and I gave it 4 stars. It's the 3rd book in the Ravenel's series, I guess. And this is about Pandora Ravenel, and more importantly, in my opinion, it's about Gabriel, who is the son of Evie and Sebastian from Devil in Winter. Did I call this Devil in Spring? This is Devil in Spring, not Devil in Winter. Easy to make that mistake. And Devil in Winter is like one of my favorite books ever. It's amazing. Most people who like historical romance say that. Kind of in a group here, but it's true. It's amazing. So going into the release of this, there was a ton of people who were like, oh my gosh, Evie and Sebastian, Evie and Sebastian's kid, what the hell? So of course I was also like that, no worries. But I actually really enjoyed it. I really liked, I don't remember a ton about it, but I recently typed up my review for it. Like, I handwrite my reviews, so I was typing it up, so that helped. Pandora is kind of a unique heroine. She's very independent, very strong-willed, very anti-traditional historical woman for a time period. Oh no, I have hiccups. Awesome. And Gabriel is actually very sweet and kind. He's not like super mushy-gushy or anything, but he's a nice guy. So it's interesting, and they kind of find themselves in like a compromising situation, but like not really. It's just really an unfortunate situation, so they're kind of like forced to be together and get married. And I like a good marriage, a convenience story, and this is a really fun take on that, and I'm really enjoying this series. I think it's getting better and better. Some of the other characters from the Wallflower series show up in here as well. It's not just Evie and Sebastian. But what was I gonna say? Yes, there is a doctor in here, Dr. Gibson, who I'm in love with, and I'm pretty sure her book is next. And because I wrote that down in my review, I'm not sure why I think that, but apparently I did at the time, so I'm going to stick with it. And I'm very excited. I'm very intrigued. There's so much going on. I'm very intrigued. And then I read Long Way Home by Katie McGarry, which is a Thunder Road novel. I gave this 4 stars. I think the first book in this series is my favorite book. This is Chevy and Violet's story. So you meet them in the earlier books and you know that there's something there, but like they've had a falling out basically. And this goes into kind of why they have that falling out, and then can they be together again and what that looks like. They're in like a motorcycle club life, and really Violet's trying to escape that. She has reasons for wanting to escape it. I enjoyed it. I do like the Pushing the Limits series a little better, although relatedly, Isaiah and Rachel from My Favorite Crash Into You do show up in here, which is actually play a moderately big role, which was interesting and unexpected. I like them as I like Violet and I like Chevy, and this book continues to explore like what's good about a motorcycle club and what's bad about a motorcycle club, and just in general like being part of like a family like that, like the idea that like sometimes you can be blind to things because you want to feel like you belong and what that means and everything. So I appreciate that Katie McGarry like is willing to look at positives and negatives. And then I read First Start of Fall by Diana Peter Friend. Don't know. Still don't know how to say it. I think I have tried to look it up, but I haven't. Oh, I was gonna bring my tablet out and show you guys pictures, but it's dead. Ugh, I'm a horrible person. Whatever. I didn't read a lot of ebooks this month, so sorry. You'll just have to look at my face. This is just like a little novella. It comes before Across the Stars Swept Sea, which is in like the For Darkness Shows the Stars companion duology. I gave it 3 stars. It was interesting, but not super interesting. Honestly, if I read it before reading Across the Stars Swept Sea, I'm not sure I would be like, yeah, let me go read that. But it's kind of interesting to see where the characters like come from and everything. But it was a little bit of a chore to read. And then I read Teaching Roman by Jennifer Elbin, and it's in a like new adult kind of collection that I got for really cheap on Amazon at some point. So I've decided I'm going to try and read them all. I give it 3 stars. It's about like a woman, I guess, who's in college, and she goes on like a spontaneous trip to Mexico with one of her best friends. And then she ends up kind of like meeting and hooking up with one of the professors at her school. I'm personally not a huge fan of that trope. I think that there's like questionable power dynamics there. But it was handled okay. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was a little short for what it was trying to accomplish. And it was very surface. Like, it didn't really go into deep emotions or anything. But it was an okay read, so I gave it 3 stars. And then I read Reunion by Meg Cabot, which is the 3rd book in the Mediator series. And I'm really enjoying my reread of this. I'm so glad I made that decision. These books are not letting me down. You can definitely tell they're written in the early 2000s. I'm sure I've said that before. But they're still enjoyable reads. Pretty fast-paced because they're short. And, like, just the writing is fast-paced. And Sue's the main character. She's starting to have, like, some more development. So she's still funny and she still makes impulsive decisions. But there's a slightly more serious tone to everything in this story. And then she's being more serious, which is nice to see. And then I read Cream of the Crop by Alice Clayton, which is the 2nd book in the Hudson Valley series, right? That's called, yes. I gave this 4 stars, and I did really enjoy it. Something I did not know going in, but I'm very grateful for, is that the main character, Natalie, is like a bigger girl. Now, let me say something, because this is a pet peeve. When I read books, like romances, and it's like, oh, I'm a bigger girl, and she's like a size 8. Okay, listen. And I felt this way when I was a size 8. I am now like a 10, 12. So not that much bigger than an 8, but whatever. I was an 8 for like a pretty substantial amount of time there. I've only gone up to like a 10, 12 in the last couple of years. So, and I'm like, a size 8 is not a big girl, please. And I thought that as a size 8. But now I definitely don't think that that's a big girl. This girl is a bigger girl. Like, she's bigger. She's like a 16, and which again, you could be bigger than a 16. But 16, I think 14, 16 is like the average in the U.S. for like average, when you average everyone together. I'm not gonna get into debating what's healthy or not. But I actually really appreciate that she actually is a bigger girl and kind of like she's still sexually confident and stuff. That's just not something you see that often and portrayed this way. And I don't know, it's respectable. It was a cute story. She also likes cheese, which I also like cheese, so I get her in that way. He's a farmer, he makes some cheese and stuff. It's a fun story. I enjoyed it. My one issue is, like, it got to the point where the sex was just like, really? Again, like, I just started skimming it, and it's like, I would much rather, like, other conversation, like, important conversations, which they do have conversations, which is nice, but it just got to be a little too much for me. But overall, I enjoyed it. I liked them as a couple. I like the characters individually as well. And then I read Fire and You by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is in the Wait For You series. It's the most recent one. I gave this 4 stars as well. I will say I think that the series has gotten, like, weaker as it goes on, but this was better than I thought it was going to be. Going in, I knew who the characters were. They were in the previous book. And so I knew it was going to be like an unrequited love story, and I'm not a fan of unrequited love. I still had some issues with it here, but overall it was handled pretty well. I did really enjoy it. Jillian, the main character, I actually really liked her. This story didn't go the way I expected it to going into it. It takes place further into like the timeline than expected. And actually you see a lot of the characters from the earlier books in here, including Avery and Cam from Wait For You, which I really enjoyed. I actually almost read like a finale. I think that's why I was looking to see if there's another book. And we found out something about one of my favorite characters I was not expecting, and I still need more information. Is this what I read next? Yes, I read Happily Ever After by Carrie Cass. Now technically, I did not read this whole thing, because in here is, so there's several novellas. There is The Queen, The Prince, The Guard, The Favorite, and then Scenes from Celeste, The Maid, After the One, which is like an epilogue-y thing, Where Are They Now, and then, yeah, and then a sneak peek at her other book. So I had already read The Queen, The Prince, and The Guard, so that was like 175 pages of this, but I did read everything else. I think I've actually read After the One before online or something, but I read it anyways. So I gave this 3 stars as a whole. It kind of made me want to reread the selection. I'm gonna be honest, kind of made me want to reread it, but probably not going to. I don't really have time for that, and I still need to read The Heir and is it The Crown? I own The Heir. But The Favorite, which is about Marley, I really enjoyed. I thought that was really interesting and an interesting look at things. And I liked the Celeste stuff too, which is actually what kind of made me want to reread the selection, to like see where those scenes and stuff fit into there. I don't like anything that have to do with Aspen, so I didn't like The Maid. But overall I liked it, and actually this book, it does have a map in it, which is nice. I'm not like super like, oh my gosh, this selection is the best thing ever, but I like it, and I like the covers. I think they're cute. There's also just like randomly in here like illustrations and stuff. So, and I did go and flip through all of those, even if they weren't in like the stories that I was reading. But I really like those, and I like this style of drawing. So, and then I read The Earl Takes All by Lorraine Heath, which I gave 5 stars. Yes, 5 stars. And this is in her Hellions of Havisham Hall series, I believe. And going into this, I was like so scared. Throughout like the majority of the book, I was scared, because the whole concept of this story is that there are these twin brothers, and one is like the heir and the other is the spare, whatever. And the spare and his brother, the heir's wife, have like never gotten along. And then the 2 brothers go on a trip, and then the older brother dies and makes his younger brother promise to like protect his wife because she's pregnant and he doesn't want her to lose the baby, and blah blah blah. So he pretends to be his brother so that she'll like deliver the baby and not go into like shock and lose the baby or whatever. But you know, he like falls in love with her, and then she's like, I love you because you're my husband, you know, that stuff. Okay, first of all, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before. I was going to say I'm pretty sure I have. I probably have, but I don't know. Moral ambiguity makes me very uncomfortable. I can handle it in certain situations, like actually reading the Thunder Road series by Katie McGarry is a struggle for me for that reason, because there is legal issues, and that's where I tend to have like the biggest problem, is legal issues, is when like the law is actually being broken. Like I have a problem with underage drinking in books when I read it. I'm sure I'll talk about this in more detail someday. But I also just dislike dishonesty, and there's the whole like horrible thing in books, especially young adult, where it's the like you two not talking to each other. That's annoying. This is lying. So I knew going in it was going to make me very uncomfortable, and I was just like, how is this going to resolve itself, like what's going to happen, blah blah blah. I was just like constantly like anxious while reading it and stuff, and it's really hard for me to not give a book 5 stars when it does something like that to me, because for it to have impacted me that much emotionally, like I feel like it deserves the 5 stars. But this really is a great book. It definitely makes you question things, but it is handled so beautifully. Like if you want to know how to craft a well-paced romance, a well-paced love story, please read the Lorraine Heath book, because nothing is rushed. There's great, you can have chemistry from the beginning, because people have chemistry. That's not the same thing as love. And she just does such a beautiful job. These characters are so amazing. They're so detailed, so multidimensional. I just really, really loved them. And reading it made me want to read the other books in the series again. And it also made me want to read the next book, which I don't own, and it's already out, but I've purchased it. It's just, I'm waiting for it to arrive so I can read it. And I'm probably going to drop anything I'm doing to read it. Mainly because of the epilogue in here. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but I feel like the epilogue in here left some things out. Like I was missing something. And I feel like the next book will answer those questions for me. So I'm literally just reading that other book for the epilogue. So then I read Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. I'm finally reading the Castles Ever After series. Somebody mentioned this in one of my videos that they loved this series. And I had commented that I had not read it yet. And this is the only one I've read, but I've read it now. It was on Overdrive, so I got it from my library through Overdrive, and I gave it 5 stars. Originally I gave it 4.5 stars, and then I was writing out my review, and I was like, finishing it up, and I was like, I don't have anything bad to say about this, so I'm going to give it 5 stars instead. It's just such a magical book. Like, that's all I can talk about it, is like, it's so magical and beautiful, and I love Tessa Dare. I think I like this more than I like the Spindle Cove series, which feels like blasphemy to me, but it's how I feel right now. I'm so excited to read the other books. I loved the characters. The main character, her dad writes like bedtime stories, like fairy tales, and she's like in them kind of, and everything, so everybody knows her or whatever. So they think that she's like a fairy tale character basically, and that's how they treat her, and it's just interesting, and it's about her dealing with that and growing with that, and the hero is like scarred, and I'm a sucker for that. And then it just has this magical quality about it, the writing, that I really enjoyed. Then I read Because of Miss Bridgerton by Julia Quinn, which I gave 4 stars. And this takes place before Bridgerton books. This is about like their aunts and all, like Billy Bridgerton, who's in here, is like one of their aunts. Did I say what I gave this? I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I like it better than the Smith, that series, don't know how to say it, books. Those just weren't really working for me, but these definitely have more of a magical quality. And it's interesting because you know some of the Bridgertons, like Edmund is mentioned in here, which, like, if you've read the Bridgertons, then obviously you probably know who that is, and you probably understand why that would stand out to me in ways. It's just interesting to see the Bridgertons from a different perspective, and Billy is a great heroine, and George, who's the love interest, is an amazing guy. Like, I've been reading so many books lately which is like really good guys in them. Like, they're not bad boys, they're really good guys, and you know what? A good guy is a good freaking hero. I love a good guy. And the Mallet of Death makes its very first appearance in here. Again, if you've read the Bridgertons, you know what that means. So excited. Actually, that book reminded me a lot of, it's not behind me, it's over there, The Viscount Who Loved Me, like in the kind of tone. That's one of the Bridgerton books. And then, because this video is not long enough, it's probably like 30 minutes long, it's going to be fun to edit. I'm currently reading Just for Now by Abby Glines, and I'm reading this at work, which is really fun because people keep commenting on it, which I don't really mind in general. Like, I wouldn't set it out on my desk if I was really cared that much. The only reason it bothers me is because I'm actually not really enjoying this. I'm basically reading it because, and I've committed at this point far enough that I feel like I have to finish it. Normally, while I don't particularly love Abby Glines' writing, I can at least get sucked into it, or I can at least like enjoy it to some extent. This is literally a chore to read. I don't like Amanda, I don't like Preston, I don't like their relationship together. I think it's highly dysfunctional. They're a lot like Abby Glines' other characters, so I don't know if I'm just not in the mood or if this book is more poorly written. And the dialogue feels really stilted all the time, which isn't uncommon for an Abby Glines book, but it seems to be sticking out to me more here. So those are the books that I read in the month of March. Like I said, I read 12 books. I don't even remember the last time I read that many books in a month. If you have any comments or questions or anything like that, please leave them down below in the comments. And I'm really sorry that this video was really weird. I feel like I was very like, but whatever, I can't help it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!